Welcome to GRE. I'm your host, Keith Weinhold. If you close your eyes and wake up in 10 years, where do you really want to be? 1% down payment mortgages are here, profound AI impacts in your life, then some contentious and even volatile discussion about racial discrimination and black people in housing. You'll get my opinion on equality of opportunity today on Get Rich Education. Taxes are your biggest expense. The best way to reduce your burden is real estate. Increase your income with amazing returns and reduce your taxable income with real estate write-offs. As an employee with a high salary, you're devastated by taxes. Lighten your tax burden with real estate incentives. You can offset your income from a W-2 job and from capital gains. Freedom Family Investments is the experienced partner you've been looking for. The Real Estate Insider Fund is that vehicle. This fund invests in real estate projects that make an impact, and you can join with as little as $50,000. Insiders get preferred returns of 10 to 12%. This means you get paid first. Insiders enjoy cash flow on a quarterly basis, and the tax benefits are life-changing. Join the Freedom Family and become a real estate insider. Start on your path to financial freedom through passive income. Text FAMILY to 66866. This is not a solicitation and is for accredited investors only. Please text FAMILY to 66866 for complete details.
You're listening to the show that has created more financial freedom than nearly any show in the world. This is Get Rich Education.
Welcome to GRE, from Allentown, Pennsylvania to Glen Allen, Virginia, and across 188 nations worldwide. I'm Keith Weinhold, and this is episode 451 of Get Rich Education, where we don't live below our means, we grow our means. If you're being told that you're crazy or that things aren't going to work out for you, hearing that right there can actually be a prerequisite to you being successful. Are people raising their eyebrows at what you're doing? That could actually be some positive feedback on your direction, as long as your head tells you that it's right and your gut backs it up. Don't trade away your authenticity for approval. Look, if you close your eyes and wake up in 10 years, what do you want to see when you open your eyes after those 10 years? Awards for work? I doubt it. Or is it kids, family, and relationship-oriented? Or is it invisible footprints that you've left behind all over Earth because you traveled or explored that much, and you did raft the Grand Canyon and visit the Taj Mahal, see the Eiffel Tower, or you dove the Great Barrier Reef? Yeah, it's probably those types of things. Well, then why are you putting 90% of your effort into career-oriented stuff if that doesn't help you achieve that goal 10 years from now? See, that's a better set of questions for you to ask yourself. Are you on that right trajectory? So that's why we talk about generating residual income when you're actually young enough to enjoy it here. Rich people play the money game to win. That's what we do here. While most people play the money game not to lose. But real estate's not always easy, and it's not overnight wealth, and you're going to have your problems, but it can be amazing when you have a strategy and you stick to it. If you want me to make your financial life better in 30 days, in fact, maybe I can in some cases, but no, that's really not what we're doing here. Probably not even in a few months. But in less than a year, and then definitely in a few years, yeah. And I think really it helps to remember something simple. The only place that you get money is from other people. All your life, the only way that dollars have come into your hands or come into your bank account is because it came from other people. And for many, that's just one person. It's one employer that the money comes from. Well, with each rental property that you add, that is one more person that is paying you and that is of tangible benefit in a world where the only place that you get money is from other people. Now, as we dip into the mechanics about how to achieve that, just think about what would be different if you hadn't taken action in real estate. Now, I don't know what it is or why it is, but for some reason, people are trained to time the market in real estate, but yet people might put 10% of their salary, and it's up to $22,500. That's what's allowed this year, or $30K if you're over 50. They put that in their 401k dollar cost averaging, which is not timing the market. That is just a smooth input. So I don't know why that is. Why some people are predisposed to time the market in real estate, like with these peaks and valleys, but yet they dollar cost average into stocks, which is the opposite of timing the market. Maybe it has something to do with the cost of the property. I'm not sure, but I tend to think you should treat real estate the same way, effectively dollar cost averaging there as well. Keep adding 1 or 2 properties a year or whatever you can. And then, of course, when you consider 401ks, low returns and low liquidity, you might not even be putting money into it anymore. I mean, you've got the wherewithal to know that every dollar that you lock in a 401k is a dollar that can't use OPM beyond the employer match. And it gets even worse because with a 401k, what you're doing is you are hoping to die before the money runs out. What kind of a retirement plan or life plan is that? I don't know. It doesn't sound like diving the Great Barrier Reef to me. Hey, Rocket Mortgage introduced a new 1% down home loan program. This is a new product for them. But some people tend to think it's the first of its kind, and it is not the first. Okay, it comes on the heels of their rival, actually, United Wholesale Mortgage. They have already rolled out a similar program earlier, but this particular program, it's expected to reach a lot of people. And here's the thing. It also eliminates the monthly mortgage insurance fee. So it deletes that monthly PMI. Now, even if we're just talking about primary residences here, okay, it does affect you in the rental property market, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But with this 1% down program, a buyer using it that's purchasing a single-family home, all right, their income can be no more than 80% of their area's median income, and then that's it. They're only required to make a down payment of 1% of the purchase price, and then the lender covers the remaining 2% that's needed to reach the required 3% threshold for conventional loans. So it's not only going to reduce upfront costs, but that monthly mortgage insurance fee for the borrower is gone, and that's typically a few $100s a month. That's what they had to pay traditionally. If the buyer puts down anything less than 20% on their purchase, they had to pay PMI. That's going away. That's obviously going to help their affordability. All right, so with 3% down being reduced to 1% down, well, then a home buyer of, say, just a $250K home, well, they'd only need a $2,500 down payment instead of $7,500. But yeah, strict underwriting guidelines are still in place. You need income and credit and assets. And there aren't really as many mortgage borrowers that put 20% down on a home as you might think. In fact, the average new purchase down payment in America, that is just between 6 and 7%. But this 1% down option we're talking about here, it's estimated that 90 million Americans are going to qualify for it. And over the long term, what this is going to do is it is only going to increase the available pool of buyers, of course, because more people that were on the edge of affordability can now qualify. Now, in a normal market with this happening, a few of your tenants that were on the brink of qualification, they might be able to run off and go buy their own place, but you've still got those erstwhile strict underwriting guidelines, and there's just such a lack of supply of this entry-level housing, like I updated you on last week, you just can't move into what does not exist. So this could create a little tenant attrition, but yeah, it should be pretty limited for those reasons. But with this larger pool of buyers that now qualify, that puts more upward pressure on property prices longer term. When you make any good or commodity more affordable in the short term like this, with more buyers coming in and more bidders coming in, well, it makes it that much less affordable over the long term because that competition pushes those prices up. It's just like decades ago. As soon as financial assistance came to the college enrollment world with Stafford loans and Pell Grants and all that stuff, well, what did it do? What was the result? Well, more people could afford to pay more with more and better loan types, and that made college costs skyrocket. The same effect is happening here when you lower down payment requirements to just 1%. But that factor alone, it shouldn't make home prices skyrocket. They shouldn't shoot up, but it's just another tailwind on upward price momentum. Now, check this out. Typically, when a tech CEO goes in front of a Senate committee, it gets kind of embarrassingly uncomfortable. Like, my gosh, they have to end up explaining how to use email, okay? Senate committees are not known for being tech savvy, but this wasn't really the case a couple weeks ago when Sam Altman, he's the CEO of ChatGPT maker OpenAI, when he testified on Capitol Hill on the future of AI and how the field ought to be regulated. Now, Sam Altman, he has a lot more going on than just ChatGPT. It is possible that he is the future wealthiest man in the entire world. So he's worth paying attention to. But now, this is where it gets scary. All right, he's about to secure a $100 million funding round for an iScan accessible global cryptocurrency project, Worldcoin. Okay, that's what the Financial Times told us. Now, Worldcoin, it's not totally unrelated to his signature project, ChatGPT, but the company's goal is to verify whether users are human by scanning their irises to disperse universal basic income to workers that get displaced by AI. Now, I've explained before how technology actually creates jobs, not destroys them. History has shown us that over and over and over again. But the hearing, that continued with the discussion of the dangers of an unpredictable, evolving technology. It can generate and spread misleading information without us even realizing that it's fake, like more of these impersonation scams, or even those famous fake images of the Pope in a puffer jacket, or Trump running from police. But for his cryptocurrency, Worldcoin, Sam Altman, he's already released a world app crypto wallet that can be downloaded to your mobile phone, and he's got big plans for Worldcoin as the first ever cryptocurrency to be held by every person on the planet. It runs on the Ethereum blockchain. You don't need to know what that means, but in practical terms, Worldcoin, it's going to look and trade a lot like the cryptocurrencies that you've already heard of. So in that regard, Worldcoin, it's not really breaking any new ground, but what makes it stand out is the fact that it has aspirations to be both a cryptocurrency and a global identification system. Its tagline is, "The global economy belongs to everyone." And Sam Altman plans to distribute Worldcoin tokens to every single human on planet Earth. And this is where things get really creepy. To pick up your free Worldcoin crypto token and sign up for a Worldcoin ID, you need to give Sam Altman a scan of your eyeballs. Yeah, you heard that right. Worldcoin has created a proprietary iris scanning tool. It's known as the Orb. And once you've had your eyeball scanned with the Orb, you're good to go. And Altman says this step is necessary to verify that you are a real human and that it's not meant to be an invasion of your privacy. He won't even ask you for your name. Yeah, I don't know if people are going to go for that, especially Americans. Americans are more suspicious and have more resistance to authority than most places in the world. We'll see what develops with Worldcoin, but expect to hear more about Sam Altman. If you want more real estate education, your source is GetRichEducation.com for actual physical property addresses conducive to financial freedom. Create one login, one time, just like thousands of others have. You can get started there at GREmarketplace.com. More straight ahead, including a discussion and some contention about racism. I'm Keith Weinhold. You're listening to Get Rich Education. With JWB Real Estate Capital, Jacksonville real estate has outperformed the stock market by 44% over the last 20 years. It's proven to be a more stable asset, especially during recessions. Their vertically integrated strategy has led to 79% more home price appreciation compared to the average Jacksonville investor since 2013. JWB is ready to help your money make money, and to make it easy for everyday investors, get started at jwbrealestate.com/GRE. That's jwbrealestate.com/GRE. GRE listeners can't stop talking about their service from Ridge Lending Group, NMLS 42056. They've provided our tribe with more loans than anyone. They're truly a top lender for beginners and veterans. It's where I go to get my own loans for single-family rental property up to 4 plexes. So start your pre-qualification and you can chat with President Chaley Ridge personally. They'll even deliver your custom plan for growing your real estate portfolio. Start at ridgelendinggroup.com.
This is GRE Real Estate Investment Coach Naresh Vissa. Don't live below your means, grow your means. Listen to Get Rich Education with Keith Weinhold.
Welcome back to GRE. I'm your host, Keith Weinhold, as we're about to get to racism. Now, first, it's no secret that I prefer investing directly in single-family rental homes and apartment buildings. But when I look for real estate investments that are even more passive than turnkey, I just thought you might like to know that I personally invest my own money through a company called Freedom Family Investments. Right from the beginning, they've always provided me with exactly their stated return, paid on time. But you might wonder what makes their funds any better than, say, a Wall Street REIT or a 401k. Well, for starters, I'm being paid passive cash flow today, not when I'm age 65 plus, and tax benefits that offset W-2 job income and capital gains. I mean, that part itself can be life-changing, and it might be hard to rake in as much money as Taylor Swift's Eras Tour when you're young enough to enjoy it, but this can get you closer. The fund invests in real estate projects that make an impact, so consider becoming an insider along with me. We get preferred returns of 10 to 12%. That means we get paid first and cash flow is paid quarterly. You can join us with as little as $50K. It is for accredited investors only. Yeah, it's Freedom Family Investments. They are the experienced partner on the most passive portion of my real estate holdings. If this sounds interesting, just go ahead right now and text FAMILY to 66866 and ask about their Real Estate Insider Fund. Again, text FAMILY to 66866. Let's discuss racism and discrimination in America. It's a topic that I think some people don't want to discuss, and I can kind of understand why they don't, but I am going to today because here we are, episode 451, and it's the first time. This was recently published on our Get Rich Education YouTube channel, so expect some sound effects as we're about to play this for you here. The first voice that you'll hear is 60 Minutes interviewer Mike Wallace with Morgan Freeman, then Denzel Washington, and then finally Dr. Jordan Peterson. This is about 10 minutes in length, and then I'll come back to wrap it up for you.
Black History Month you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? Well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism until...
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman says we can make racism go away by not talking about it. Do you agree with him? And then am I defying his wish by even producing this video for you? I've got more on all this, and I've got more thought-provoking video clips like that one to show you. It includes some conflict and some controversy today. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold, Get Rich Education founder, Get Rich Education podcast host. I serve on the Forbes Real Estate Council, and I am a 20-year real estate investor. Okay, let's learn first. Let's get a sense of history for context, and then I will bring you up to today. In 1865, right after the Civil War, slavery was abolished, but then housing discrimination became more pronounced, typically as part of what were called Jim Crow laws that discriminated. These were state and local laws introduced in the southern U.S. in the late 1800s and the early 1900s that enforced racial segregation, keeping the races segregated. So post-slavery here, but still segregated. And then in 1917, the federal government began to take action against these laws when the Supreme Court struck down ordinances prohibiting blacks from occupying or owning buildings in majority white neighborhoods. Okay, so attempting to dissolve segregation there. But federal and local government continued to be directly responsible for housing discrimination through redlining and race-restricted covenants until the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Now that landmark act, that introduced legislation known as the Fair Housing Act, and that act made it unlawful for a landlord to discriminate against or prefer a potential tenant based on their race, color, religion, gender, or national origin when they were advertising or negotiating the sale of rental housing. And then in 1988, protections were also extended to other protected classes, is what they called them, and that included disabilities and familial status, which includes the presence or anticipated presence of children under 18 in a household, for example. And despite these efforts, some studies have shown that housing discrimination still exists and that the resulting segregation has led to disparities in wealth and housing and education and health. We'll look at the housing shortly. But look, consider, if we stop talking about all this, like Morgan Freeman suggests, does that also mean that we stop writing about this stuff? Meaning then that some of the Fair Housing Act gets deleted? As you ponder a heady question like that, watch this.
I know, you know, we all know what it is when a hot comb hits your hair on a Sunday morning, what it smells like. That's a cultural difference, not just a color difference.
Denzel Washington says it's the culture, not the color. There's another element for you to mentally filter. We're really dipping our toe into multivariate analysis with that one. Now, not that this is news to you, but I don't have any experience in being black. When we discuss the culture, do black fathers need to have the talk with their teens in case their car is ever pulled over by a cop at night, that they need to turn on their car's dome light and put their hands on the dashboard? It's not a talk that my father gave me. Well, it is true that in this almost 250-year-old nation that other races and cultures, they do have different shared histories, whether you're of East Asian descent or Latino descent, or you're Christian or you're Muslim. Let's look at some housing statistics. These are supplied from the NAR, and they are parsed by race. As we look at homeownership rates by race, you can see that whites own their home the most often, and then it's Asian, Hispanic, and Black, and they've all increased over the past 5 years. Now, is that completely caused by discrimination or partly by something else? Something else could mean a lot of other variables. It might be that some cultures buy multi-generational homes, meaning that they buy, therefore, less often. And hey, don't dislike me for showing you the statistics. You might not like them. I am presenting the facts. If you're a landlord or property manager, during your tenant screening process, it is okay to run credit and background checks. It is okay to request proof of income like pay stubs, and it is okay to contact references during the screening process. All right, all legal and okay. And if a prospective tenant doesn't meet those screening criteria, landlords can legally deny them. You can deny them. For example, we're talking about things like a history of late payments or serious property damage at previous residences and prior evictions. They are all completely valid reasons for denying an application. Other things like smoking, that's considered a lifestyle choice, and that is not covered under the Fair Housing Act. So you can prohibit tenants from smoking on your property. You can add an addendum to the lease so tenants know that they're not allowed to smoke. And similarly, landlords can refuse to rent to applicants with pets unless they're service animals. To be fair, as a landlord or property manager, you should review applications by the order in which they were received and use consistent policy. Besides being on the right side of the law, it is just the right thing to do. Do the right thing before you do things right. And this is even more important in a place like San Francisco and elsewhere in California, where landlords must accept the first qualified tenant. Yes, you heard that right. They must accept the first qualified tenant. Let's watch this from Dr. Jordan Peterson, where he describes equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome.
Racial divisions or ethnic divisions or any of that, equality of opportunity, I can't see how you can be a sensible person and not
do you
possess...
think do women have opportunity? Do women have equality of opportunity then broadly across Western societies?
Compared to what?
Compared to not having equality of opportunity.
Well, compared to 100 years ago, yes. Compared to 50 years ago, yes. Compared to most places in the world throughout history, yes. Compared to a hypothetical ideal, no. But I'm
would that
very,
hypothetical
very leery.
ideal be a good ideal or a bad ideal?
Well, it depends on how you define equality. If you define it as equality of outcome, then it's a catastrophic ideal.
Yeah, so Dr. Jordan Peterson, he champions equality of opportunity and he denounces equality of outcome. So equality of opportunity, that basically means that everyone gets an equal chance. Equality of outcome, that means, for example, that if a neighborhood is 10% Latino, then your apartment should have about 10% Latino residents as the outcome. So equality of outcome, that's pretty hard to administer when you account for multivariates on top of that targeting. Like, then you also have to have the right ratio of, say, families with children, and also have the right ratio of those with disabilities. But then if you account for those, you might have too few females or too many females, and that's what becomes difficult to do, that equality of outcome. And that's one reason that Dr. Jordan Peterson denounces it. I think that many would agree that not only is equal opportunity the law, not only is it the right thing to do, but look, equal opportunity, that actually helps you, the landlord, the property owner, or the entrepreneur that's hiring. That's because when you ensure equal opportunity, that gives you a great wide pool of tenant applicants or a great pool of prospective employees. I mean, that's really congruent with Martin Luther King's dream of living in a nation where people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Well, that really right there is one of the few opinions that I have had here favoring equality of opportunity. You'll notice that I've been asking you more questions today rather than giving you answers. Yeah, you've had a few presuppositions from me today. Now, I think anyone should agree and really even be upset if another person suggests that one culture or race has hegemony over another. I am a real estate investor. I don't have a civil rights degree. We'll end it there. If you'd like to see more, check that out on our Get Rich Education YouTube channel. I'll tell you, practicing equanimity, it was kind of difficult for me to discuss a sensitive topic. I'm not sure if you can tell in the video, but my forehead is sweating by the end of it. Well, the least that you need to know is that 1968 Civil Rights Act, that includes the Fair Housing Act. And this is a piece of landmark legislation. And really, it's something that any citizen should know the basics about, and even more so as a real estate investor. So the Fair Housing Act, that protects people from discrimination on the basis of race, religion, national origin, sex, handicap, and family status. And that's when people are renting or buying a home, getting a mortgage, or seeking out financial assistance. So it's not just when you're renting to someone, it's also when you're lending to someone. You shouldn't steer your advertising in an exclusionary way. So even terms like cozy bachelor pad or ideal for young couples ought to be avoided. And equal opportunity is simply better for you as a real estate investor or a landlord. I mean, say that you excluded a rental applicant group that comprised 30% of the population. Well, then you're the one that loses because your available renter pool would shrink by that amount. That would reduce your income potential. That would reduce your occupancy rate, and that would reduce your tenant quality. So keep that in mind. Next week here on the show, we are talking about some big problems and really the toxicity in the apartment market and the broader commercial real estate market, and how 2022's sudden spike in interest rate is causing syndications to fail. Now, apartment building owners are getting foreclosed on. More of that is coming with their variable interest rate debt resets coming due. And those resets are going to way higher interest rate levels. So how bad is it going to get? And what are you supposed to do as an investor if you're in a syndication? What's it look like if you're a real estate syndicator yourself? Who is safe and who is going to go under? All that and more will be answered next week when Ken McElroy returns to the show here with us. I really appreciate you being here this week. But as always, you weren't here for me. You were here for you. I'm Keith Weinhold. Don't quit your daydream.
Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of Get Rich Education, LLC exclusively.
The preceding program was brought to you by your home for wealth building, GetRichEducation.com.